What is that you want?
Sir, I really wanted to know KPC Arjun.
Yeah, he is Brahmasri KPC Anujan Bhattadripad, not KPC Anujan Bhattadripad. Brahmasri is something who understands Brahma. He was Tandri for various temples. When somebody is Tandri for various temples, Tandri is the chief priest. He is the guardian of the god.
Okay. Guardian means like father.
A guardian is one who takes care of him. Yeah, as per Indian rule, every god is a child.
Okay.
It's as per Indian rule.
Okay.
That is why assume that I am taking care of somebody and I am the guardian. It is me who to decide who should come and meet my child.
Okay.
So that is why the Supreme Court also said Tandri can decide whether ladies should enter in Shabarimala temple or not. Because as per Indian constitution, every god deity in a temple is a child. Therefore, child cannot handle money, child cannot handle property. So there has to be somebody else who is handling the property of the child, who is called a Tandri. So as far as a Tandri is concerned, not all Tandris may be reaching up to that Brahmasri level, but generally we have to recognize them. Like a senior professor is called professor, right? Junior is called assistant professor. So like Brahmasri is a title given to somebody. You know Bhattadripad means who was...
No, sir,
Yeah, no, I am giving you information. So it's not, don't take it into criticizing or something. So if you accept it, you will hear, yeah, I am learning something new. If you start...
Sir, I want to ask you about Bhattad. What is the difference between Nambudiri, Bhattadiri?
Yeah, that is what I am telling. That is what I am telling. Once upon a time, Shankaracharya decided all the priests in Kerala will do 3-4 different jobs. One is Vastu, second one is Jyotisham, and third one is Puja, and fourth one will study and teach others. Some categorization he made. After some time, what happened was Jyotisham and Vastu teaching and all, people started earning more. And Puja people did not get much earning. So in the Kerala tradition, priests started jumping into other field. That is why you will see a lot of people who are into Vaidyam is also one portion. Treatment. So there are many categories, but all of them are earning. Then the priests in the temple were not earning, there were not many priests. So what we did was, in Kerala, I think in some Samutiri's time or maybe some time of the Tirunal, during the time in the whole Kerala, United Kerala decided to bring people from Andhra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu. Those who can do puja. So some people who came from Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra has to be seen separate. That is why in Kerala you will hear somebody is Tirumeni, Bhattadripad, Nambudiri. Nambutiris and all are from probably Karnataka. So some categorization like that. I don't know exact category. But Bhattadripad was somebody who was originally from Kerala. So they are supposed to be the highest stratum of all the Nambudiris. And what Bhattadripad people did, they started coordinating all the learning practices. Therefore, you will see Kerala puja style is very specific and very rigid. Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra and all, they even touch the people who are coming, they put some touch the head. But in Kerala, they are all different. And every activity which we do in puja is also like mantra because everybody has to do same style.
Uh-huh.
Therefore, in Kerala, before the puja, what is to be arranged is also in terms of slokas. You have to keep pedam on the left side, grass on the right side. You have to keep this much of water here. All that becomes part of ritualistic way of keeping. So that is why Kerala puja takes longer time. They don't allow anybody to come and then involve. And they do very systematically. So there is a good documentation. Okay. All that what documentation we had on the temple rituals and all were written by in a book called the Tantra Samuchayam. Tantram is the ritualistic part of temple rituals. And that Brahmasri KPC Anujan Bhattacharipad is the only one who interpreted and wrote it. So he is a great man. By my association with N. Gopalakrishnan, who is a good speaker. Somebody from some place got a cassette of him which was copied and therefore it lost its introduction portion. That was in early 2000. So I heard the lecture but I don't know who is this man. So it is 20 years back. So there is no way of tracing because internet is not that active. But then there is a mention that he is talking in Kottayam so and so temple in so and so year. Therefore when I went to that temple premises, I asked somebody who was the speaker, and this man spoke like this. That's how I came to know about N. Gopalakrishnan. I wanted to listen to him more. Therefore, I had an opportunity to arrange a lecture for him in Hyderabad National Institute of Nutrition in a conference called Paravidya Aparavidya. I guaranteed that conference authorities that I will bring Gopalakrishnan. But then when I contacted Gopalakrishnan, he said, no, I will not come for one lecture. I need this much money, airfare, payment of this much and all that, Then I couldn't arrange that. So I told the conference fellow, sorry, I will not be able to get him. Then they said, no, it's your responsibility because that slot is already allotted to him. So you must fill it with some speaker. So there was nobody available. The last I opted myself to speak. That was my first ever lecture in spirituality. But then that was a huge international conference in which the modern Vyasa, he is David Frale from America. Even still he is alive. He is a good writer who knows great things about India. He has written a lot of books on different Tantra Shastram and all that. He was also there, so I gave a talk on Paravidya Aparavidya. But in that, my interest was something on Vastu and energy and all that.
Sir, can I?
Yeah.
Can ചോദിച്ചോട്ടെ?
Uh.
സാർ ഇപ്പൊ ആദ്യമായിട്ടാണോ ഇങ്ങനെ ഈ ഒരു എന്താ പറയാ ഇങ്ങനെ റിലീജിയസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളെ പറ്റി സംസാരിക്കുന്ന ആദ്യത്തെ അപ്പിയറൻസ് ആയിരുന്നു?
Yeah, that was my first appearance. That was in 2002 or I think somewhere 2002 January 11th or sometime, I think, I don't remember. But then soon after that I got in a month I got 40 lectures booked. So I became very famous speaker on Vastu Shastra.
How much duration? In this particular lecture was how much duration?
That was one hour or so.
Okay.
So that was a good opening for me. Then I thought, yes, I am a speaker, I can do. But then that gave me a lot of confidence and got a lot of contacts in Hyderabad. Then I wrote back to Gopalakrishnan, you can come. I am arranging 3 days of workshop. 3 days of lectures of yours in 20 places. Actually, I made a fake schedule and then sent it to him saying that these are all the places your lecture will be there. And I decided to get him, I decided to sponsor him. That time it was costly actually. Flight fare maybe 5 times costlier than today's flight fare. I paid from my pocket, I got him. But I got his cassettes recorded, copied multiple times, sold it in different places in Hyderabad. I used to carry cassettes and sell it. But
ഇവിടെ എന്ത് കിട്ടുന്നുണ്ട്?
that gave me some sort of funding, finance, money and all that. But that gave me a good introduction to different subjects, different people. I was known in the circle in Hyderabad in different places. As a Thanksgiving back, one of the greatest thing Gopalakrishnan gave me was, he wrote a small postcard to Brahmasri KPC Anujan Bhattacharipad, knowing my schedule that I am coming in Kerala during June so and so time. That was in 22nd June 2002 or so. I vaguely remember the date, I don't remember, I have to refer. Then that postcard went to KPC. He telephoned to I think, to my wife's residence. We had a telephone that time. Those days telephone itself is a rare thing, we don't have it in everybody's house. But my mother-in-law happens to be in postal department. We had a telephone. So when I was there, I got a telephone from somebody. But Gopalakrishnan did not tell me that he wrote a card to KPC. So he telephoned and then told me, I am KPC, I want to meet you. Those days, yes, people do come to meet me because I was a space scientist. I keep going to Kerala, people know. Many of the friends of my father-in-law also used to come. And then I don't know who is this person who is talking me. He wanted to, I only heard about KPC Lalita and all that. KPSC Lalita we know, KPSC drama people we know, but KPC I never heard. But then
What is the full form of this KPC? Actually,
that is his mana, that Tarwad name. Okay, that Cherian, they are all called Anujan Bhattacharipad, Jeshtan Bhattacharipad, like that. Padinyare Mana, something, that is his name. That he is the Cheriyatan in Padinyare Mana. So K is some place name. So when he told that he wanted to come and meet, I said fine, and then kept the phone. But then we cannot trace back from where he called, who called and all that, right? So I told this to my father-in-law that KPC called. Then he said, yeah, he's a great man, he's a great Tantri. And we had a neighboring Brahmin family. Maybe they will know who is he, where is he and all that, we can tell him. So we told that. So they really got surprised why a great man is coming to meet Shashi Kumar. And his style was, he had a 118 NE car. Those were the days, even Maruti was a fashion, Fiat was a great honor. This is like a executive car in one, a white car. So he came, I gave him the direction when he telephoned to me from bus stand to temple. When you go, there is a right turn. If you ask anybody, Warrior Master is my father-in-law's name. He was a teacher and he was a warrior. So Warrior Master's house, if you ask, somebody will guide you as it. So by the time we couldn't contact him back, but this family gave the telephone number through some contacts and all that. We telephoned. By the time he already left. Then as he was coming, he stopped the car somewhere near some shop and then asked somebody, Dr. Shashi Kumar, nobody knows me, but then Warrior Master, yeah, they know. Then everybody was thinking, why this man? He will not wear shirt, the top plus, with full of vibhuti on the body and with the kuduma. Rarely you see Kerala priests having kuduma and all that. So he had that, and he had vibhuti all throughout his body. everywhere, and he's a very tall figure. It's like a very great, by look itself is a great personality. So he came, but there were few people following him to know why this man is coming. Okay. So by the time I knew I did a mistake, so as he entered the gate itself, I has fallen on his feet and then said sorry. It was my mistake that I don't know you. So it's my bad that I asked you to come. So my father-in-law was telling I should have come to you. So that is how I met my Guru. But then he blessed me and said, do you remember the scene where Tilakan was coming to meet Mohanlal Manichitrathal, and then he is asking Nedumudi Venu, arrange 2 chairs for discussion, we will sit somewhere outside. So as entered, my Guru told my father-in-law, arrange 2 chairs, we want to discuss. So this movie was not there that time, so I saw the movie later, I was recollecting. That's how it happened. So then we had long discussion. So he talked about many things. He got my interest. But I was using the dowsing rod those days to measure the energy and all that. So his main interest was to know that from me, and then we had long discussion on that. That's what has happened. But then that association continued for long. He came to Hyderabad, stayed with me. We travelled together to Kailash. Whenever I used to go to Kerala, I used to go to his house first, because his house is between Thrissur and Iringalakuda. Most of the trains have got stops only in Thrissur but not in Iringalakuda. So I'll have to get down at Thrissur. By road, when I come to Iringalakuda, my wife's place, Chirp is the place where there is a junction. So he belongs to that Chirp. There is a Devi temple. His house is very close to that Devi temple. No, Peruvanam. There is a Peruvanam temple. Heard about that?
Peruvanam,
yeah, Peruvanam is one of the earliest villages. Peruvanam. Peru means great, Vanam means forest. So there are a lot of great trees which are not even categorized botanically even today. So there is 1 or 2 now, and they have written that Perilla Maram, a tree without a name. That is what they have written there. And that temple has got a very special look, because the deity is not on the floor, not in the ground floor. It is in first floor. That is because there was a tree, and the first puja happened to be on top of the tree. And they construct, no, that is a Deva temple, Shiva temple, Peruvanam. So that's a huge temple. Even now, when last I visited, maybe 3-4 years back, I have seen a beautiful rose garden there. Rarely you see in a temple with rose plants full, right? And when I went there, there was some art form happening. That's a place where there are a lot of art forms keeps performing. There are not many audience, but they do it as a ritual. I think there was Kooth or Kudiyatam or something like that. I think it was Kooth. So I keep going to his house, and generally our train reaches by 12 o'clock or so, 12 or 1, that is the time. It may be late, sometime it reaches 2. So I first go to his house, used to have lunch there, then go to Iringalakuda. So he used to serve me food. He will not allow his wife to serve, so I used to sit and eat as if the father is serving the son, sort of a thing. So that was my liberty in that house. When Kailas and all we traveled, we slept together. He booked my ticket and then asked, "Are you coming with me?" He was so sure that I am going to travel if he calls. And he was a great poet. Every moment he writes poems. Instantaneous poetry was his. That was a flow. Even if I ask some question when we were traveling to Kailash, if I ask him to describe that, immediately it will come as a poetry. I remember when we were traveling in Thiruvananthapuram, one of his relative was a doctor there. He was taking us to somewhere, and he only took me to Asianet. He only took me to All India Radio for interviews and all that. So when we were traveling, the car was making a lot of noise. He was an old car, so immediately he made a funny poetry for describing the car. That's how he was. Very, very jovial, but very serious. Both together. It's a mix of great things. Recently, on a Sanskrit day celebration, I quoted to him also. Most of my chantings I learned from him. So, one of his old associate telephoned to me from Baroda. Because he heard my lecture, he heard my chanting. So he was telling, he felt that Brahmasri KPC is sitting in front of him and chanting. That is the style in which you are chanting, he was telling. That's a great certificate for me. Because his colleagues, and now the Vishnu Sahasranamam, which I am editing and posting every day on my YouTube from N.N. Menon. N.N. Menon was introduced to me by Brahmasri KPC Anujan Bhattadaripada. So there are a lot of people, though Guru is not with me, there are a lot of memories like it. That call happened a few weeks back. You are asking now. Vishnu Sahasranamam, every day I am listening, I will pay my respect to my Guru. So I am editing it because that's a nice chance for me to listen. I never learned Vishnu Sahasranamam in my life. Maybe read it and understood a little bit here and there, but not. N.N. Menon is giving name by name, each namam, probably average 10 minutes. There are some cases when he goes with one namam itself 3 days. In some 30 minutes he covers some 3-4 namam sometime. And he is also comparing with the Lalita Sahasranamam. N.N. Menon was a close associate of Chinmaya Swami. So I am fortunate to get connected to great people like Chinmaya Swami. Brahmasri KPC Anujan Bhattadaripada was a guru for the Transcendental Meditation World Master. He is Maharishi Mahayogi. Maharishi Mahayogi is a great master. He had his own territory in America where he introduced his own currency called Rama currency. He had great disciples. He is a very established Swamiji. When he wanted to learn Tantra Shastram, the Puja Vidhi in India, he was a crazy guru, Maharishi Mahayogi. If you want to study something, he will select the best in the whole world, ask those people to come and stay with him, and then teach him like a residential program, and he will learn the whole thing. So Brahmasri stayed with Maharishi Mahayogi in America for almost a year. So Maharishi Mahayogi's guru is my guru. I keep saying sometimes.
Okay, so one doubt is the transcendental meditation and meditation. Is it the same thing or?
No, transcendental meditation is like you create a lot of vibration in your body and your body itself can jump on top. You are not on the floor, you will lift yourself up. So that's like a siddhi sort of a thing. Deepak Chopra is one, and we have a great, famous, I don't say great, very famous Swamiji moving around from India, operating from India. He was a disciple of Maharishi Mahayogi, but he don't quote this anywhere. But I know him when he was a very chota person. But now he will not tell that he cheated his guru. That's why he don't name his guru's name.
He doesn't say that he was good.
Yeah, actually he learned under him. Recently I went to one of the ashrams in Tiruvannamalai, where they wanted to establish a Sanskrit Padashala. I was also invited. We had only 5-6 people from the Delhi, some 2-3 people, Hyderabad from me, Kerala 1 or 2. Like that we had a group meeting in which everybody was introducing. So when such meetings, my connection of working with the space department of PM's office have no relevance. So only I said I am Brahmasri KPC Anujan Bhattadaripad's disciple. Because he don't have any disciples and all that. Only one person who learned a little bit from him was me. That's it.
Only one disciple.
No, that there is nothing called a disciple tradition and all that. He don't teach anybody. He don't mix with the people. He was only a tantri doing puja, nothing else. He used to write. He used to chant. He used to record something. But nobody was there like me who followed him probably 10 years also. I don't think. But I followed him. I took him to my house. We stayed together. We learned. He always says, "I have only one, and that's you, nobody else." So I told that I am the only one. So immediately that Swamiji who was chief of Aruna Tiruvannamalai, he was telling, this Swamiji was an assistant for Maharishi Mahayogi in USA for long years. So it is during that time KPC visited. So they all had great respect to KPC. And then that portion of the respect was given to me. So from then onwards, whatever I spoke was having more value. So sometimes your tradition matters more than people will listen when you say that you belongs to this tradition and all that. That is why people keeping the traditions. But I also have meditation master Maharishi Mahayogi, similar pattern of persons. Like Veda Bharati, who is the disciple of Swami Rama. He was a Himalayan master. Though I have not met, I have no association, Yeti was my close, because I have gone through most of his books. I read through that. But all that introduction happened because of Brahmasri KPC Anujan Bhattadaripada. Otherwise, I was not at all into this, but I keep reading. My habit of reading textbooks, including Vastu, otherwise I would not have given a lecture on Vastu, right? So I went to one person called Keshavan Achari in Payyannur to learn little bit of Vastu. All that happened. So learning was my passion, but a constant following, looking at what is to be understood and all is different. Today is a good day because it is the same day last year, same date last year, my topic of lecture. There in Sundays, I used to have Sunday Satsang in America. And that Sunday Satsang, every Sunday I used to get some topic which are suggested by some people. So one of the topic which somebody suggested to talk on that day, Sunday, was Brahma Vidya. So Brahma Vidya, otherwise I would have never learned. So I just learned. We know, because when we read through books, we know, oh, this is what Brahmasri KPC told me. That way I am able to relate when I read books. So when you listen to some great specific gurus for continuously for longer time, you reach into higher level where he quotes hundreds of textbooks which probably would have will not be able to give you in 1 hour or 2 hours. So when I read something about Shankara or on Shankara or maybe Ramana Maharshi, maybe some scriptures somewhere here and there. That becomes so easy because already there is an introduction from KPC. So that has given me a lot of advantage in understanding some of the great thoughts. So Brahma Vidya was such. That is where I think casually I mentioned or somebody asked a question, I don't remember, on Paramahamsa. The Paramahamsa, Hamsam is something which can float in the water.
Hamsam is swan, right?
Yeah, swan. Swan is one of the lightest because it's light, no? Very light. All the birds are light, but one of the lightest is swan. Though it looks too big, it's too light because feather is too large. And Hamsam is light. So when you become light, you become Paramahamsam. I never interpreted it like this. There was one question, so immediately it just came. It is not that what I learned somewhere, read somewhere, and then there was a question, so immediately it came. So the lecture was on Brahman. I said, when you realize Brahman, then you become Paramahamsam, I said. That was a casual word which came, or maybe somewhere it is there in that. I don't remember that. So that's how knowledge comes. So when good questions are there, probably you start unknowingly giving some answer. That unknowing answer will become a knowledge. But actually it is not unknowing. It would have been discussed or told or learned from somebody which was never recorded, probably which was not noticed. Now just now what I said, you are not noticing, you are not writing, you are not thinking about it, doesn't matter. But that will be there in you. Maybe when somebody asks, you may also tell this. Quite possible. That is what we say, we keep knowledge inside the Hridaya Guhara. So it goes inside the caves in our Hridaya. That is what Brahma is. And that comes out is called that actually the Brahma Vidya. So that is why in Bhagavad Gita we say Brahma Vidyaya. Yeah. So many people will hear Bhagavad Gita. But then when there is a word called Brahma Vidya, somebody catches and say, I was teaching Bhagavad Gita in America. Then somebody asked Brahma Vidyayam, Yoga Shastre. So immediately those words are taken and somebody asked, we want a lecture on Brahma Vidya, we want a lecture on Yoga Shastra. So that is how, word by word, when you look at it, you will get topics to discuss in this world. That's the beauty of our scriptures. Every word is a great topic.
Sir, നേരത്തെ സോമയാഗത്തിന്റെ കാര്യം പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. സാറിന്റെ ഗുരു സാറിനെ സോമയാഗത്തിന് കൊണ്ടുപോയി, നിങ്ങൾ രണ്ടുപേരും പോയി. ഞാൻ ഗൂഗിൾ ചെയ്തപ്പോ കണ്ടുപിടിച്ചതാണ്. He was one of the commentator for most of the yaga yatna which happened in Kerala. Because he was an authority on Rigveda. He is a Rigvedic Tantri. Generally, Tantri is one who does the puja. They are all Yajurvedis. The ritual part is Yajurvedam. So they know how to do puja. But they may not know the theory behind it. I am going to post it, so don't worry, it will be on YouTube. So, when Yajurveda becomes the ritualistic part, like a mechanic or who is repairing a machine, he knows how to repair, but he may not know the theory behind the combustion engine. That person who knows combustion engine, we call him as an engineer. The other person is called a mechanic. So Yajurvedis are mechanics. They know how to do puja, but they may not know the theory. But Rigvedis know the theory. So Rigvedis are like B.Tech who may not even know how to open a machine. So my guru was both a Rigvedi and an Yajurvedic expert. He was not a Samavedi. He don't sing that well, but though he sings well, but he had a both combination of Rigveda and Yajurveda. This is essential in every yaga. Every yatna which happens, every yaga which happens. Therefore, he was able to explain why is it done like this, why this specific material is required and all that. And he enjoyed giving commenting on those things. I remember in one of the yaga where he took, Mohanlal was there. Mohanlal also wanted to attend and learn what's happening there. So Mohanlal and my guru was close friends because they meet at different places. They had discussions. They stayed in same place where Mohanlal used to get a treatment, was in somebody's house where my guru had a handle. So they were close friends and all that. So Mohanlal, I got introduced to Mohanlal by my guru actually. We met, we had discussions. Because during Yaga Yatna, the commentator who explains this through what is happening and all that, that's like a VVIP place in the Yaga Yatna place. That's where I had a seat. So I attended many yagas with him because of his association and influence. After that also I attended in my personal capacity at least 2-3 yagas. One in Ernakulam, one in Kannur. I was also part of conducting something. I was the initiator of conducting one Mahaganapati Homa Yatnam in Hyderabad, in one of the temple here, where everybody could contribute. So was part of many such activities too. Even there is one which is happening next month in Hyderabad, a huge program in which the owner of that resort, it's happening in a resort. So he called me the other day. Yesterday also we were on discussion. This is also like Somalata is used. That is why it is called Somayagam. Somalada is it's there in this Hyderabad, in this resort where I am going. He has got a large agriculture land in which Somalada is there. He cultivated Somalada actually.
Actually a group of plants are
see, that may be true because if you say Nelli, Amla, there are different varieties in different part of the world, right? See, when you say Kurumulag, the pepper need not be one single pepper, right? There are 100 varieties. So when we are not botanics people, where I am not anyway, botanics people who will go into the details and say this belongs to this class, this subclass and all that. That's good enough. When we say human being, everybody is human being, but every human being is not same, right? Every monkeys are not same, so every buffalo is not same, so that doesn't matter. But Somalada is one plant which is used, and that when burned in a very specific temperature, it produces large chemicals which have got high influence on the environment. In my brother's place in Naduvil, you remember my eldest brother who is very short, P.T. Kardayar Nambiyar. In his house also Somalata is there. It is there in Naduvil also, it is there. Good enough?
Sir, is this, what is this Nitya to actually got introduced to from the Somayagam?
Your sound broke, therefore the exact technical word I didn't get. The rest of the things, Uttar Pradesh, Yaga, only that word you say, otherwise it's breaking.
Agnihotram.
Agnihotram. I was an Agnihotri for long years.
Still also you do that?
I stopped doing it because of my continuous travel. Otherwise, I did it almost 10 years or so. So you have a inverted pyramid which is made of copper, which could be the size of a normal dabba, maybe 6 inch by 6 inch by 6 inch. The bottom may be 3 inch by 3 inch of height of 6 inch. That's what I used. It could be huge also. So in many Agnihotra houses are there in many places. They are distributors of this kit. We get a small glass, copper glass, a copper spoon, ghee, kundirikam, camphor, dried cow dung, little bit of rice, little bit of ghee. These are the...
Sir, ആദ്യത്തെ ingredient തിരിഞ്ഞില്ല.
That kundirikam, which is generally used in the churches and mosques for making fire, that's a gum. Gund. It is called gund. So you put all these items to make the fire inside your inverted pyramid, and then put a little bit of one karanj. One karanj is which you can hold like this in your hand, so that this finger you can push it so that the rice and ghee will go out. Make that and then hold it in your hand, and then in the fire when you offer, you are actually offering ghee and rice. Sugar came later actually. Ghee and rice, these are the two ingredients. Earlier traditionally people used sugar cane also, because that's equivalent to sugar. These are the three ingredients which are most auspicious for making any sweet, any gruel, any payasam, any prasadam for anybody. So these are the most favorite or most richest, the best food available as far as we are concerned. That's why we are offering to God. So who gave this is the question. Who gave this? Earth. Even the cow gets the food from earth only. But earth cannot produce unless sun is there. So we always believe sun is the source of every energy, sun is the source of every food what we get. So it's a thanksgiving to sun. I cannot give back to sun, but I can keep a symbolic sun which is called the fire. And into that fire I am offering whatever he gave, a bit of it. And you ask, sun, please have it. Suryaya swaha, Suryaya idam namama. You only gave it, it is yours. Suryaya swaha, Suryaya idam namama. And once it gets into fire, where the smoke goes, it goes into air. The air is not mine. The benefit of what is fired should not be mine, it should go to people. And who gave this rice and ghee in my hand? It is not mine. Though I have money, if somebody doesn't produce, I will not get it. So it is lot of chain of people who contributed to get this item in my hand. Therefore, this doesn't belong to sun, it belongs to lot of people around me. Agnaye swaha, Agnaye idam namama, Prajapataye swaha. It's all for the people. Suryaya swaha, Suryaya idam namma, Prajapataye swaha, Prajapataye idam namma. It's all given by the people, so you people you can take the benefit. You give, Agni gave it, therefore Agni can take it. Sun gave it, therefore sun can take it. This is the mantra to be chanted. During the sunset and sunrise, we do 2 times every day. So I was doing it, and whatever ashes which we get out of it, we give it to plants, and then plants will grow fast. There are many medicines created out of the ashes, including eye drops. Agnihotra.com, that's a website I think, that describes the medicinal effect of this. They did lot of experiments, lot of scientific conclusions are there out of the Agnihotra. So I was an Agnihotri for long years. Probably that also adds to your spiritual energy. That's what people believe.
Sir, is there any problem if we stop that activity?
Nothing like that. I think I stopped during my series of lectures started in 2002. I think I started much before that. When I went to Kailash, I remember I had a very surprising incident. Kailash, when there is the traffic gets stuck sometime, and the huge queue will be there. The queue may be 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, and everybody do not know what to do. We are stuck. So you cannot go to nearby hotel and eat. We can only stand there, chit chat, but that also will get bored. So we had such an incident. Some fellow came running and then asked me, "Are you an Agnihotri?" Like that he asked me. He was from Netherlands or somewhere. So then we had a long chat. Then I asked him, how do you know this? The same question I asked him. He said, any Agnihotri will realize who is the other Agnihotri. I said, I am not able to see people and then tell who you are Agnihotri. You may not know that, but because you are a mix of different things, you will not be able to categorize, he said. But I only have one eye, that is Agnihotra, he said. Probably we don't know. And that was a rare incident. So, and he was visiting Kailash maybe 11th time or that time. So sometime maybe there is some connection, somebody gets it. And it's not just by chance. He came actually, he was telling, I saw you 2-3 times. We stop at different places and I missed you. And now because there is a jam, I was hunting for you, he said. My guru was there beside me. Brahmasri KPC was there during that time.
Sir, any such incidents happen with you and your guru? Something that is...
Many are there. Many small incidents. We have many great experiences of such things. I have a class at 2.
Pardon?
I have to attend a class at 2 o'clock. I have a class. I am a professor now in a university, right? I joined as a mathematics professor in KL University.
Your students are really lucky.
I am not going to college, but I teach sometime, and I don't have to teach many subjects. Now nothing is given to me, but I will have to attend somebody teaching somebody else and then see what and how they are teaching. Probably. So I don't say supervise, I have to watch them teaching. That's what so 2 o'clock there is a class which I have to attend.
So now it's only 1.
Yeah, 10 minutes. KPC loved me. KPC really loved me a lot. I have got at least 1 or 2 poems on him, Guru.
I saw that, sir. I read that.
Yeah. And most of his small bits of talks and all being circulated in different groups in WhatsApp. And somebody will ask, is it that KPC and all that, because there are some references every now and then comes to me because of him. And he had a book called Kshetracharangalum Anushtanangalum in Malayalam. Most of the temples it was for sale. I think the 3rd or 4th edition he rewrote, and in which there are few pages on Dr. T.P. Shashikumar. In the center of the book he is dedicated some 2-3 pages on me. And he introduced me to L.K. Advani, Murali Manohar Joshi. He travelled to Delhi to talk about me to L.K. Advani. Just for that. I didn't know this. I knew only when in Delhi I met 1 or 2 friends, and he also did not tell me that. But I know how he persuaded me to persuaded many people to, like press people and all, to come and cover what I am doing and such things during those days in 2002, 2003 and all that. So he loved me a lot actually. took me to different places. We traveled together to Alappuzha, traveled together to Thiruvananthapuram.
Sir, can you just tell me any one special incident that comes to your mind? Just hear me asking this.
On what?
Any one incident. Any one incident that you had with your guru. Very special incident. Like
See, I was thinking,
something that comes to your mind is.
yeah, I was thinking when Brahmasri KPC Anujan Bhattacharya with that stature, when we wanted to travel to, he's a very rich man. He's a very rich man because of many things. His children were in US and he was rich. His wife was a professor and he left his insurance company job and then started into politics and then into puja. And he was from a traditional family. His house was in a very prime place. He used to get a lot of money during his pujas, and many ways he was rich. But when we wanted to travel to Alappi, we remember he could have actually he has got a car and a driver. But then he came, picked me up in Iringalakuda. We went to Iringalakuda station and then waited for a train. In the train we traveled and he took only second class ticket, ordinary ticket, not even reservation compartment. And then we had some Muslim lady who was entering and then he immediately made a space for that lady to sit beside him. I don't think a Nambudiri in today's circumstance will do that. A normal Nambudiri, so that they have got a great feeling, of that they are not that mixed with the people. Even if you have little money, they will only hire a taxi, they will only go in their vehicle. I know such people. They show that they are untouchable sort of people. But for Tirumeni, it was never there. He mixed with anybody. Though he was very aristocratic style of Pujari, unless he is into puja, he is normal person. When he does puja, he is a Tantri. But when many places where only people with the cross belt can enter in some portion of the temple, he used to tell, use that melmund and then put it there and cover it like this and then you come along with me. So he took me to many places where only cross belt people, Brahmins can stay. So when I used to be beside him, somebody asked him, who is this person? Immediately he will say, Mohanannu Cholu valla koyappundo. Taking him as my son, is there any problem for you? That's what he asks. And nobody used to dare enough to ask much more details when he speaks like that. Because he was a very strict man. He had a lot of authority. Among all the Tantri Pujari group, he was supposed to be a highly knowledgeable, highly respected person. So a portion of that respect I really enjoyed. Silently I enjoyed asking me to take bath in some pond where only priests were supposed to take bath. So though I do not belong to that category of cross belts, I enjoyed being that under his umbrella. That was normally not expected out of him. And when I went to Kailash, I asked him, it is not right on somebody's part to say that, no, I want your guidance for all the Pita Pitamaha's rituals. I wanted to do it in Kailash.
What are the Kailash?
All that what we do generally, every year we do Pinda Karma and all that. So those can be done once for all when you go to either in Kashi or Rameshwaram. That is what is told. If Kashi and Rameshwaram it can be done, the core place of Kashi Rameshwaram both are Kailas only. So I had a desire to do it. So immediately he said, come. And then he took me to Manasa Sarovar beside. And until that time he was wearing the sweater and all that. But that's what I said, as a priest, he don't want to wear the sweater and then do the puja concept. Immediately he removed. Everybody was looking because the temperature is so chill and cool, nobody can even stay without that. And he was topless. Only one dhoti, and he took water and then did snana karma rituals and then dictated to me what I am supposed to do like a normal priest. Right? So everybody was looking at this man, how he is able to stay in this cold. Even I couldn't, so I didn't remove my shirt off. I didn't remove my sweater off. So, and he was able to stay in such places. So when somebody asked how is it possible, and he said hold two hands and then say Shiva Shiva, Shiva Shiva, Shiva Shiva, you will not get hot. I mean, the temperature will not affect you, he said. Either hot or cold, it makes no difference. So that recollects me what Ramana Maharshi was telling to his disciples in Tiruvannamalai when they were climbing on the mountain, the leg will not get burned. So I found it in my Guru. The temperature was not a problem for him. Though, I mean, he couldn't go for circumambulation because it's a huge, difficult walk, and he was almost 76 that time, 74, 76 time. So it was, many people suggested not to, otherwise he would have also ready for that, I am sure. But I went. So I went and then took a circumambulation, and that feeling which he had when I came back after circumambulation was, I mean, it was something beyond expression. Beyond. I cannot tell that, but as some people write in their books, I am not supposed to tell that. So I enjoyed, or I don't know whether I enjoyed it. I was in full tears. See, it's like you don't know whether you will meet. That is what we say when we go for circumambulation. You will come back or not. So that.
Dangerous.
Yeah, that is one, that dangerous. But actually, when we cross, we have to cross Yamadwar and go. So it is as good as you are dead. So if you come back, it's good. But he was waiting eagerly for that feeling, no? That feeling you can read from the eyes. Yeah. Good enough. 2 o'clock.
Yes.
Bye. Thank you. Enjoyed.
Thank you.
Enjoyed.
Thank
We
you.
have a Maya Satsang in group. I will add you there. I'll tell you.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, bye.